Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Challenge All-Stars 5 Rivals RHAP podcast for episode 9. I am Brian Cohen. And me, as always, my co-host, Lasher. Ali, how are you?
We haven't done a take two intro in a long time, so I'm feeling like we have a second lease on life.
Yeah, I had to refresh my Wi-Fi to make sure it's ready to go, but we're here, baby.
Oh, I forgot to pull all of that. I guess we got to remind me to talk about that at the end. But we'll start with my brush with fame right at the top, baby. Because, a case for disbanding the video, I was recognized eating a slice of pizza alone outside of a pizza place this week.
At least it's outside of a pizza place. If it's, not eating a piece of pizza like on the subway or something. So it tracks.
I mean, I'll eat a piece of pizza wherever. Shout out to Sarah, who made my day. And then, it happens so infrequently that anyone cares that we do this podcast, including when we're at RHAP events, that I'm usually trying to gab with the people who know our podcast, because I'm like, oh, my own family doesn't care about this. Like, where are you going? Can I come? I was like, I swear I have friends. She's like, okay, nice to meet you.
I get recognized as the other. I get recognized as the other Brian. So, at least, you get yourself.
Even that would be nice. No, I'm kidding. I generally enjoy complete anonymity, but it was very nice chatting with Sarah. I blacked out. I think her name was Sarah. It was like, then I immediately texted my mom. It was very exciting.
It's a big deal. It's fun.
I didn't ask. I was something like, are you an All-Stars listener? You don't know.
Right. I hope so. Well, shout out, Sarah.
Instead, I was like, do you live in the neighborhood? And then I was like, not that I'm going to follow you home. Like, I was like the creepiest person. It was like a reverse creep. You think you're going to be weird recognizing me. I'm going to be 10 times weirder back to you.
Hope she's still listening. Hope we didn't lose her. Still got her.
She's like, don't
I met her now.
Podcasters. Yeah. Well, I think I just started playing something again. Anyway, this is the worst technological situation I've ever had. Anyway, Brian.
Yes.
We're here. We're down to one non-star holding team. We don't know what's going to happen, but taking it all the way back, I want to get into the psyche of Turbo, and I immediately regret saying that as I say it, because I don't mean what I just said.
Okay. Always.
But I'm, after last week, where people kind of got angry at Turbo, around Turbo, more than Turbo got angry, which is what we're used to seeing. Then this week, we're going to end the episode with Nani really getting angry and Turbo comforting him. I think it was very interesting how the previously on moment that usually happens with the winner from last week, the winning team, Turbo seems very willing to be in on the joke at his expense. Right. Is this a new Turbo, or did we just previously misunderstand the old Turbo?
So I guess it's a good question in terms of, is he in on the joke at his own expense, in the sense of like, did him Nani write that bit, or were they told this is the bit, do it, and he just like went along with it but doesn't agree with the bit of their dynamic?
That's a double interesting layer. If I've been into March Madness, so I'm like, that's like the double bonus, which is a hilarious, sorry, just as an aside, it's hilarious that like professional sports is something called a double bonus. Anyway, kind of a stupid terminology for it. It's very interesting. Either way, the Turbo that I saw previously, I don't think would just like go along with it because production handed them lines. Like Nani comes over and is like, are you lounging? Are you working? Like making fun of him on the couch. She's like, I do all the work for this team. And he's at least willing to let her say it.
I also think this is kind of a tangent off your thing, but I think it's interesting they do these segments because it gives the teams a glimpse into how production is planning to edit it, in the sense of they're the ones going to be focused on. I mean, obviously they won the elimination, so it's like they're known to be focused on for the previous episode. But even like through the other episodes, it gives them a peek as to what production thinks of them, in a sense that most other shows you wouldn't have. Like production tries to stay as neutral as possible, asking them questions to get leading answers. But here, again, assuming production is like writing the script for the previously on, they're getting a sense of like what the game is happening around them rather than just what they're experiencing.
Yeah, that's true. So it's a good question for somebody to ask the next time you're doing an interview. It's interesting. It would be interesting to know. I mean, we hear that in the Survivor context, of people saying like production asks you a lot of questions. So they're not necessarily leading you because they're like, what if Brian goes home tonight? What would that look like? What if,
Right.
RuPaul is betraying you? What would that look like? What if they have an idol? Like whatever. But some players have suggested, especially in past seasons, like way long ago seasons, like I kind of felt tipped off by the interviewer. And it's like, well, that's not necessarily like, are people getting tipped off by like the script of the previously on? Probably no, but is it giving them something to think about if they want to think about something? Maybe.
We get also to think about Nicole and Mel, who I think were a much more of a focus to start the season, and they've kind of gone mostly silent as like a duo. We got like a glimpse of Nicole's girlfriend, and very quickly we thought maybe Nicole and Mel were gonna like rekindle things. It seems like they've rekindled a friendship, although Veronica is still wary of like what that friendship might mean in terms of how far they're pushing the boundaries. But they're not fighting, which is good for them, and they seem to be in a good place as a duo.
Like truly not me defending Nicole's fidelity like I'm defending Turbo, like this is the bad place or this is the upside down, but I went back because when I saw that scene between Mel and Nicole, it looks like Mel like grabs her face to kiss her, but she's like grabbing her face to spit the drink into Nicole's mouth that Nicole like, drowned her with. So it's like much more of a playful, friendly interaction. Now, there's a world someone's partner might have a problem with this interaction, but to me, it was not like overtly sexual between them or like they were really at risk of doing something. And in fact, I want to throw a flag on Veronica's otherwise masterful gameplay this season, social game, coming in and being like, get out of the pool. Like I warned you. Is that really going to help if all that's preventing Nicole from hooking up with Mel is mommy coming out and yelling at her? That's as good as doing it. Like that's still bad that Veronica thought it was sexual enough to come in and throw a flag. So like, I don't know, a true like friend looking out for you would probably just like join and just like, I'm going to desexualize this by being here.
Right. Also,
cut that clip.
in like classic bad girl vibe, Veronica telling Nicole don't do it would honestly probably make Nicole want to do it, and just in spite of it. But also, I think I agree with you that it didn't feel pushing boundaries. But since it's Nicole and it's like her history, it's like her not pushing boundaries is she's on the line and then like immediately was pushing boundaries. They're like under the covers and it's night and they're hooking up. So I can understand if Veronica was like trying to think about the girl back home in a sense. Like it doesn't take much for Nicole seemingly in the past to go 0 to 100. So I can understand the reservation.
Fair enough. But at least what we saw, I think, no foul at the moment. Nothing to indicate from Mel or Nicole that there is something more there. One thing I do have to flag, because it wouldn't be me if I didn't say that I do believe that it was the Cupid Shuffle that Devon, Nicole, and Sam were doing to open the episode. And I don't know how much the Cupid Shuffle costs as a license fee, but I was shocked they were playing something else besides that over the party. Because, like, come on, you can afford the Cupid Shuffle. The best of the party line dances.
There was a lot of fun dancing. There was a lot of good dancing. It was like one of those, not another teen movie like dance skits. They're all like getting on it together. It was very fun to watch. There's been a lot of fun dance montages this season, which is, all stars vibes.
Yeah, and just kudos to Adam, who completes the Dirty Dancing lift. That's, to me, establishing him as the biggest threat for the final. Because, like, if you can lift an adult woman straight up over your head, like, I'm afraid of you in a physical competition.
Could lift 100 pounds right over his head.
Yeah, now we've
Poor,
seen him do it.
and poor Nani and Casey. This was tough. We got a glimpse a few weeks ago. We thought that was like, the turn the knife, gut wrenching conversation we would see between them. But no, they drop another one. Nani talks about wanting to use the money for marriage, for house, for babies. A lot of plans in mind with Casey, and none of them are gonna come to fruition.
Yeah, so this is my public appeal, my open verbal letter to Nani and Casey. I am owed nothing. Like, we are owed nothing. We are not owed the story. I mean, some can say like your relationship was public, you capitalized on it being public, so you're kind of owed the public an explanation. I'm not one of those people. Like, if you don't want to talk about your heartbreak, no problem. Come back to the show together, apart, whatever.
But if
But
you were
when
one of
you
those
are
people,
ready, what?
but if you were one of those people,
No, I'm not. As a person who's on, you don't owe me it. But in
Mhm.
your time, when you are ready, it could be 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 50. It could be years from now. God willing, I'm here. I will be ready. I will be set to listen to what happened. Because this was sad. There was a lot of love, a lot of motivation, very sweet. And I will be sad to hear what happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I am that guy, so I would like to know. Um, and I feel like there has been nothing to establish a reason. I haven't heard a peep. I think there were some like soft rumors initially, but I haven't heard anything as to the reasoning behind what happened, who led it, who caused it. It's been pretty locked down. Obviously, I think Nani might be filming 41, so maybe that's kind of helped the situation there, but there's been no leakage as to what happened here.
50, 55, 60. I'll be here. You might think they won't care about the tell-alls. I'll care. I will remember this. Thousands of other challenger relationships will break up. I will stay sat waiting to hear about this in their time. Hopefully we do just hear about it on 41, but if we don't.
Yeah, I would assume we're going to hear from Nani. Casey doesn't seem like, although she is the big, she likes to go live, but I feel like she doesn't seem like the one to voice it. It seems like the story will come out on 41 from Nani. I would imagine. I would assume the production was going to ask about it, so hopefully they include it.
Well, and Casey has said she's like retired for a period after the last time we saw her, so maybe it's also just like a total step back. We'll see.
We know those retires are very, very formal. There's no going back on it. Once you're retired, you stay retired. So never seen Casey again.
Here is a conversation, though, that I have been waiting for that I did not thankfully have to wait 5, 10, 15, etc. years. Veronica finally has a conversation with Shane. Like, what's up with Devon? What's our go forward plan here, team to team? And Shane says, well, Devon has an issue with you because it's her ego, and she has an ego thing about being outplayed by Veronica. At first, my head popped off my body, and then second thought, I was like, this is actually a really good play from Shane, in my opinion.
So in a play in the sense that he's lying, like he's creating this narrative to Veronica?
Well, the real answer is Devon's entire game is against you and working with the people you want out, and she knows that. So you have an unbridgeable divide. The other alternative is like gaslighting Veronica, who's not going to be okay with that, and being like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's totally with you. Like, I have her locked in, like, we ride with you, even though they haven't talked to each other. And that, I think, looks bad on Shane. So I think the answer being like a completely solvable surface problem of like, she's just jealous that you're like running this game, strokes Veronica's ego, makes Veronica think any disinterest from Devon is just like a non-issue and not really a threat. And like, maybe she'll even keep her distance or be nice to her because she thinks like there's that kind of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, I wouldn't say very, that's a giving Shane extra credit that maybe he potentially deserves. Like, that would be like the best version of this if Shane was like thinking that couple steps ahead about how to bridge this gap.
Well, then he tells us directly, like, his goal is to now get Veronica and Devon on the same page. And, like, I'm done swirling in the drama. I want to get them working together. And I just think there's no other answer. Well, it is a little patronizing, and it's like, oh, just like two women who want to be number one or jealous of each other. Like, it's a little annoying, but I think it was his best option to make something sort of workable between them.
Yeah, and I think with the ultimate end goal of still all eyes focused on Frank, knowing he, now that the numbers at this level, might need Katie and Veronica to do something to help them get after Frank. So I think that even more so than getting Devon and Veronica to work together is like getting them to work together against Frank.
Oh yeah. The funniest moment of the episode for me, I want to say the whole season, it's probably not true, just being recency bias, is before we go to the challenge when Katie's like, my husband and I are building a house. So if I win money this season, I'd throw it all into the house. Like, it was like, what? It was the most confusingly edited quote ever.
I thought you were going to say the funniest part for me this whole episode, again, maybe the whole season, is Devon feeling a trauma bond with Turbo because he helped her in an elimination from 8 years ago. And that's like, well, he helped me then. He helped me guide a rope in like a maze. I can't turn my back on him now. I'm ride or die for Turbo for that one moment from 2015 or whatever. Like, that's crazy. That's wild. Yeah. That's like the spin move.
It's so hard because we've heard Devon say all season, Nani is my friend. I want to work with Nani. You know, the question of that is sort of like, A, how did this relationship become so deep so fast? And B, why would you align with a team that can beat you in the final, or all teams at that time that could beat you in the final, versus like banning with the sort of physically weaker teams and trying to align with Frank to get out Adam and Steve under Veronica and Katie's nose. All of this scene with Devon, while very funny, I think is undone later with what Devon actually tells us after the jungle. And so I'm here being like, I think they played Devon in the edit just because, like, that was the intrigue. This was the moment everything was building to. And she ends up with very little fight, actually making the right strategic move. So I'm very curious to hear from Devon whenever, like, how much of this was real and how much of this was, like, never actually going to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's how I landed too. Of I could take back any negative thoughts I've had about Devon's thinking of this game based off the decision that was made and seemingly the ease that it was made at the elimination and with the joking associated with it. So kudos to Devon. And then the editors, kind of create a story. So they did what they could do.
In the spirit of the Katie line, Devon's like, Shane and I need to get to the end. So if we win, we're going to put in the obvious team. Like, it's very much do or nothing.
We could, should we jump to the daily? Are we back? Right after this?
I thought you were throwing it to commercial.
No, I was after you. Well, no, but now we'll be back right after this.
I'm not catching it.
Right after this. Okay, we're back. The daily for this week, Bubble Bullseye, very much giving Big Brother here, in a sense of something they would do where each partner switches off in a small little boat type object. The partner pushes them down a slide. Pushes them down a slide. They go through a giant thing of bubbles, and they have to try to stop themselves in the middle at the 25-point target. Whoever is furthest away each round is eliminated. And you cannot fall off. Key point there. If you fall off, you're out.
I was watching a video of my nephew from a long time ago today, and he's holding a little yellow boat. And they say, "What do you have?" He says, "Boat." I'm starting to worry you couldn't participate in that exercise, Brian.
I don't know. What's the word for it? It's a little circle cylinder object that's slides down. Like probably float.
It's like an inflatable bumper car. I mean,
it's an inflatable boat.
Little boat. It was very much giving large scale Big Brother. Like, this wouldn't fit in the backyard. They'd be doing it with like actual shuffleboard, but it was goofy for a star challenge. It was equalized, kind of random. I didn't mind the multiple rounds because everyone was competing in each round. I think where it flopped Tina a little bit, it flop Tonita like a little, about that didn't really work. Whatever. Where it flopped slightly for me is it was like too, like the -10 was basically an elimination. Like everybody was hitting in the 25 to 20 range. And
Yeah.
so like they should have, I guess, I don't know, made the spacing of points smaller or whatever, just made one target, and it didn't really matter, the like 5, 10, 20.
Yeah, I almost wonder if that -10 rule, I wonder if the original plan for this daily was not to eliminate teams as they go, but just like total the points as they go, because that would make more sense to -10 once you go through like 6 rounds of it or whatever. And I wonder if when they changed the rules, they're like, let's just still include it. I don't know. We got to come up with something. But yeah, they should have just been like, if you hit the ground at all, you're eliminated, because that's kind of just what the rule basically led to.
Totally. Yeah. Shane and Devon, I'm like looking to see if there's anything like interesting, really. Shane and Devon get a star. Good on them. I think the last round was the most interesting, where it comes down to Frank and Sam versus Shane and Devon, because
Definitely.
Shane and Frank have been at odds. So like not only are each of these teams newer, more vulnerable star holders, but they're also feeling like they must be feeling like they're likely in danger if the other team wins. It's not like Veronica and Katie and Frank and Sam going together, or Shane and Devon probably would have felt less contentious.
Yeah, and so we get a very fun conversation right afterwards. So Shane and Devon get the win, and then we see Frank immediately start in scramble mode. Like, again, very big brothery. Like, right after the HOH is decided, there's an immediate conversation of what's going to happen. Frank pulls Adam aside and gets the ball rolling on the plan to make sure that Mel and Nicole are the house vote, because as we kind of had the conversation last week, there's this grand assumption that this is it. This is the last daily. This is the last elimination, and then from here they're going to the final. So for Mel and Nicole and Katie and Veronica, they think this is their last chance to get a star. So Frank tells Adam that Mel and Nicole should be the house vote, so that way Shane and Devon can't pull any shenanigans of voting Frank himself in, and that would block potentially Katie and Veronica from getting the star themselves.
Yeah, it's a real testament to me to Veronica's gameplay, because they were able to take this to a situation that I really just don't think there was anything for Nani and Turbo to do. They all had the votes. I don't think Nani and Turbo could have tried to flip Adam and Steve. Like the relationships were so spiderwebbed out and entrenched that kudos. Like, I really think Nani and Turbo were drawing dead. I think Nani later makes the only play she could possibly make, and good on her for trying. But I think it was a really expertly crafted plan from Katie and Veronica to like get to this point and have this be the situation. But speaking of non-expert, to address what you were bringing up, I think Frank handled this confrontation with Devon terribly. Like, as good as maybe he could have, but it was a real botch, I think, on Frank's game.
Yeah, I think he could have easily just been very easily honest with her. Just be like, oh, I just told Adam we want to have Mel and Nicole be the house vote, and then you guys are going to vote in Katie and Veronica to go in against them, so that way each of them have get the chance to get the star. He could have maybe he could have held back because we're worried your partner wants to throw me in. I think he could have easily held that back, and if the push comes to shove, you could bring that point up. But just tell her straight up, that was what I was telling Adam. We're voting in Mel and Nicole, and then I was going to ask you guys to see if you're good with voting in Katie and Veronica. So that way everyone goes in and gets their star.
Yeah, Frank played the gaslighting card, which is like, why are you confronting me about this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Frank, because she heard you talking. Like, you got busted, and then you just tried to blame the buster. I think Adam does a much more artful job of like taking it down and just kind of being like, oh, we actually thought you already knew the plan. And Devon was like, yeah, I did. And he's like, oh, great. Then we're just reiterating the same plan you were already aware of. And she's like, whatever. So yeah, it's always better to admit when you got when you did get caught, and he did, and he was unwilling to relent.
And just the one thing on Nani, I agree that Nani and Turbo were, the way this broke out, pretty drawing dead. The one thing that was frustrating from Nani was mainly like the point that she could have tried to pitch was the connection she has with Mel that she kind of sort of touches on, and she gives like a very impassioned plea but in confessional about Mel, like talking about how like they've gotten so close, they've really bonded this season, that she's my girl. And I wish she brought that energy not only to this particular moment, but that should have been the relationship she's been cultivating this season, and at least making it much more challenging for Mel in that moment to do it. Like, I know she seemingly was like, oh, this is so tough, I don't want to do it, but she could have been really trying to harp on that relationship of getting at least someone from the outside in being Mel to go after Adam and Steve and really hit the point of like, yeah, Adam and Steve are the team that's winning everything. They've won all these eliminations. They won all these dailies. Like, sure, Turbo's great, but do even a better job of like talking down yourself and being like, yeah, but I've never really won before. Wouldn't it be great if we have some people in the final that never won before? Like, I've never won before. You've never won before. Let's try to do it. There's like things she could have truly tried to push that I feel like she was only pushing it in the confessional, and I wish she did that more in person to Mel.
Totally fair. I have to believe they did have a conversation, because when Mel ultimately starts her speech, like dressing down Turbo and blaming Turbo, Nani seemed like prepared for that. And when
I can't hear you. This is not good. Yeah, you went mute. Allie coming back. Yep, Allie's back. Here we are.
Great. So what I think is being lost, I don't know what you heard me already say. I agree. I think they must have had that conversation. Did you hear that part?
That's where I just heard that, and then
okay. I think that's a conversation they probably had that they didn't show. In fairness, if they didn't show it, absolutely huge flop moment. But I think what's being lost in that is Nicole and its relationship with Adam and Steve. Like, that's something we heard from the beginning from Nicole. That kind of has already caused a rift between Mel and Nicole. They already, I think a few weeks ago, had their moment where Mel wanted to go with the chaos of the house and figure out who they was. And Nicole was like, just trust me, you've got to work with Veronica and Frank and Adam and Steve. I think like Mel made that decision already in that moment. But of course, I was actually surprised watching this, why everyone was just, of course, Mel and Nicole will automatically pick Nani and Turbo star. I had the same thought as you, like, aren't they close? I'm sure Nani pressed that button and just there was no movement there.
Yeah, and I guess the other point that obviously they're wrong about, and I was surprised how certain they were about it, because we've seen this format kind of play out before, and they've never had this situation with these like stars making a final where if you get it taken from you, you're just gone. Like, that's never happened. We've always kind of want that to be what happens. Like, if stars get stolen from you, you're now eliminated. There's always been before the final a last elimination, a daily or something, and that's how it's determined. And I couldn't believe how certain they were how this was going to play out. Was, and this is the last elimination, we steal someone's star and that person is just gone. That feels so unlike, especially if someone like Veronica, who's so studious about this game and has been so involved in it in the recent years and All Stars and Challenge Proper, that's what she thought was going to happen. That feels so misguided by them.
So were they certain? Like, do you think they would have done something differently if they thought there was some like last minute, if there would be one like last chance? Like, I still think the 4 people who went in would still have wanted to go in sort of like the definite environment.
No, I think they could have had Adam. They could have had Adam and Steve go against Nani and Turbo in this elimination. They could have had Frank, Veronica, and Mel. Those 3 teams. They vote in Turbo and Nani, or Steve and Adam, and then Shane and Devon vote in the other one. You knock one of them out. Next week's another star challenge. And now you have Katie and Veronica and Mel and Nicole head to head for that there's just that star.
So I think that's interesting, but like, I don't think Nicole and V like want to put Adam and Steve against Nani and Turbo. Like I believe that they want to go to the end with Adam and Steve because they feel indebted to him or they have relationships. I think Frank and Sam don't share that. Nani and Turbo don't share that, but they'd be involved in the elimination. And Shane and Devon and Frank and Sam like can't get that done on their own. I didn't think they didn't do that because they thought they'd automatically go home. Because even then, that would break the game. They're not going to just move 3 people to the final. Like they'd fill that spot, even if it was come down in the sand right now and fill that spot.
Mm-hmm. I guess, but I mean, I think they thought how like it would have played out that Nani and Turbo was going home. That's what they thought.
I know they said that. They were like, "Oh, I can't believe they're not going home." I didn't think they like did anything they wouldn't have done otherwise. And I think Nani and Turbo would have been a lot angrier if they really thought they were like certainly going home. I think it's always the case that anything could happen. I think they're playing with there could be another shot, another challenge, but we don't know what it will look like or if it's a purge or Nani and Turbo can pick someone to go. Like, who knows? But we want to take the shot that we know about and our best chance is to go against each other. Maybe they just had a mutual agreement. Or in the event that they do just lop it off, let's take this shot. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think they would have done anything differently if they didn't think that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, maybe that makes sense. There's nothing that the show indicated that they didn't think that. I think Nani reacted like she thought she was going home. I think everyone.
Yeah, but the show likes to do that. Is like, I know you thought you knew the game. Like every time they don't do that, they like show it like, oh, we thought this was like the last chance. Right. But you know, the other thing I thought was like, I guess they couldn't do it, but like, is there anything to like trying to stir something up about like making Veronica and Katie the house vote? But probably not, because Shane's still in basically the same position, which is like, well, you're going to put your best friend of 20 years against Nani and Turbo. Like,
well, you could have tried to make the pitch of going against Frank and Shane. Frank and Sam. Like that, you could have tried to do that, which would have been a better matchup. If Katie and Veronica were the house vote, theoretically, you could try to pitch that. And it's the same way that you're giving them a chance to get a star, because if they win, they get Frank and Sam's star. So it's not like you're robbing them of a chance of getting a star. You're just robbing potentially Mel and Nicole of a chance of getting something, but to them that wouldn't mean much. So they could have, Nani and Turbo could have tried to do that, but I just don't think Nani, like definitely Turbo doesn't. But also, I just don't think Nani has that political horsepower to pull something like that off.
The best part of her argument, I think, what she does ultimately make the pitch for is like put in Adam and Adam and Steve. They don't have direct relationships with Adam and Steve. So it's like, your friends don't pay your mortgage. Like, make a decision based on your best chances to win. And Shane is like, yeah, I am. You are also as big of a threat, if not a bigger threat. And I think that's what the Frank and Sam plan would lack. And, you know, it's really rich coming from Nani of like, you're listening to your friends too much when she comes sort of connected to the Vacation Alliance and Bananas and all of these very connected people. But I think that's why it was such a good plan from Veronica and the other alliance is like Shane and Devon kind of couldn't argue with it. Even Devon, who wanted to get Nani saved, even Shane, who hates Frank, knows this is a decent plan.
Yeah.
And we should strip automatically one of the strongest teams and replace them with one of the physically weakest teams.
Yeah. And it's just like tough for Nani. Obviously, it played out with how Mel gave her speech in the sand. But not only, like, Turbo's probably on an individual basis the strongest person there, and he's like the most hated. So it's not like he's beloved that you could spin it like, oh, he's, you know, yeah, he's great in the final, but wouldn't you like, you know, we love lovable Turbo. Let's see him in the finals. Like, no, everyone hates him. So it's like you kind of have both swords coming at you. So it's a very difficult pitch to make for Nani.
Totally. He's no CT.
Right.
So getting to the jungle, unless you have anything before then.
Oh,
the ankle. The ankle of it all.
Oh, yes. Poor Veronica. Oh, my God. We have, like, the murderous, like, you know, Netflix documentary sound effects of, like, you know, you see the rain going down the pavement, like the zoom out, the screams, the horrors. And we see Veronica twist her ankle. I forgot about from previous All Stars that she broke her toe so close to a final and had to be removed. Then here, everyone comes to her defense. Everyone's talking about white blood counts and how to ice ankles properly and do all these things. Whatever prayers and chants and icing, that it all worked because Veronica wakes up the next morning feeling great.
Yeah, poor Veronica, poor me. I was like, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the boiling point of the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And Veronica's going to go out on an ankle injury. Like, I was like so pissed. I was like, All Stars cannot catch a break. And then obviously it was much ado about nothing. Shout out to Shane storming it on behalf of white blood cells. I thought that was also like a very funny, ultimately nothing burger of a dispute. But if I may nitpick the nothingness, that's where Frank also kind of does wrong by Shane. Like, I agree that I've been on Frank's side basically this entire season. But in this moment, just because things and Shane's doing something stupid, as long as Veronica's not writhing in pain, like,
right,
you don't need to add your little comments. Just leave. Like, I hope there should be a challenge medic somewhere giving advice. Like,
it's a great question. Where was the challenge medic? I don't know. Were they only there at the dailies, the elimination? And they're not there just like day-to-day life? It's tough.
I thought the person wrapping the ice was like a non-player. And then that person was gone, and Shane, it was Dr. Shane in his space helmet. I mean, he wasn't wearing the helmet, but
it's almost amazing, like the fact that it was such a nothing burger that they even included it. This feels like the type of thing you hear about, like later on. It's like, oh, what they didn't show you actually was I twisted my ankle the night before that elimination, and that's like played a part or whatever. It's almost amazing that it was even included.
It added some intrigue that I was like, is Veronica just going to get eliminated here? Or is Shane going to be able to use this of like, you're not in your best condition. I don't want you to go in like this. Maybe there'll be another chance to your point if you said that. I think she should have grabbed the LED mask, did a little cell regeneration on the old ankle.
Maybe she did. Maybe that's what helped it.
It's what the challenge medics don't want you to see.
Yeah, 30 minutes ice on, mask on for 30 minutes with the regeneration. It's the new age combo.
But all right, we could get to the jungle now.
Get to the jungle, the elimination. So Katie and Veronica seemingly easily get voted in. And then Devon with the potential rope-a-dope of what happens if we don't agree? Cuts the commercial, a lot of intrigue. Devon knows how to do a show. Good job by her. I'm sure production loved that. Great spot for a commercial. Immediately comes back with the just kidding. Ha ha ha. Of course. Katie and Veronica, we're voting for you.
Yeah, at first I thought Shane was in on it, and I still maybe think he was, because like Devon came in looking confident, and Shane looked like he had chaos in his eyes. Mm-hmm. And then, when she says, "What happens if we disagree?" Shane like looks kind of prepared. He does not look shocked. So who knows? But it did get me. I didn't think it was going to change the vote, but I thought maybe like TJ would be like, "Do you want to find out?" And then maybe they'd back off. But
yeah. And honestly, her doing this makes me call into question like the actual close friendship that she has with Nani. Because if you're like this distraught, making this type of move, knowing it's going to end with like your great friend Star being taken, she might be eliminated. I feel like you wouldn't be joking like this about it. Like if I was Nani, I'd be like, what the hell? I'm about to be eliminated, and you're like making a joke about it. Like that's. Again, that makes me think, like, I don't know, are they even, like, that close? Like, if this was, like, us, and, like, I knew, like, I had to do something, and you were potentially going home, I wouldn't make a joke about it right before the elimination. You would rip my head off, and deservedly so. And that's crazy that she did this, honestly.
Oh, my God, do you think we're close? No, I agree. You're making
People
an
question
point.
why we're so close. I don't know. They wouldn't understand it.
I totally agree with you now that you say it. I interpreted it more as, like, an acknowledgement that like Devon has to do this because it's Shane, and Shane almost what Nani says to them is like, look, I know you've been friends with her for 20 years. She's talking to Shane. She's not like side pulling Devon and being like, I expect you like the pressure Josh gets. Like, I expect you to wield your authority over Rachel. Like I think Nani has let Devon off the hook. And to your point, it could be an example of like, they just really aren't that close. And Nani isn't expecting much from her, including jeopardizing her own game. So I took it more as like subtle resistance. Like, I wish I could be doing this. I don't disagree, but like, no, I'm kidding. But you're right. I would be pissed. So it's totally fair.
But yeah, I mean, this is a very, very fun elimination. each person's on opposite sides of a rope. They have to maneuver the rope with a giant needle on it, thread it in between a little cylinder, and pop 7 balloons. You can't pop the balloon not through the little hole. Didn't happen at all, but that rule was made clear. But it was a very, very close battle. It was back and forth. It got down to each of them having 6 of the 7. And queen of the facial reactions at Elimination, Mel, giving back to when Big T was eliminated with her big reactions there. She had a lot of big reactions to the needle, and they pulled it off. They got the 7th one in.
Yeah, I found this really fun to watch. One thing I want to say about Devon, I forgot. It's like this moment, though, this episode did make me wish we had more Devon the whole episode, the whole season. I thought she was really fun in this episode. And I do also wonder, like, how much her supposedly being in opposition to Shane meant she was invisible in the season, because maybe she wasn't that opposite to Shane. Anyway, back to the challenge. You noted that the incorrect popping never occurred. I was waiting for that because they specifically told us that rule. And then it's like, because it's a who pops the most balloons the fastest, if there's one incorrect pop and they don't reset it, which I don't think they would have, the other team would have just had to get them all and could have taken all the time they wanted. So that also even would have been interesting. But it did come down to a true nail biter. I had no idea who was going to win. Mel and Nicole pull it out.
Yeah, if anything, I thought just because we got that Mel and Nicole segment of like their friendship and yada yada, it felt like, oh, this is the last bit that we'll get of them. Like we kind of got their story rounding out of them, like being friends now. I thought, oh, look at Katie and Veronica. They're going to get their star. It was good. There was just so much conversation about them wanting to run the final with Adam and Steve, and even with Shane, that it felt like that's what we were going towards. So I was surprised to see Mel and Nicole get the win.
No, I totally agree. I was surprised too. And I felt bad for Veronica. Like, I'm happy for Mel and I'm happy for Nicole-ish, but I was, after Katie and really Veronica have played like a seemingly flawless social game, not coming in super overly connected, not coming in with the ability to really win physical competitions outside of the gate and kind of join the early power dynamic. I'm sad to see them, get got on something that was winnable for them.
Yeah, I would say they really played a perfect game. I think if you had to ask Katie and Veronica, how can this season go? And they could say it played out like this, and they were in this spot. Like the fact that all the female teams went out to start the show, basically, and like them and Mel and Nicole were the only ones left, and they got down to, I think, like basically the penultimate elimination to go up against them in a non-physical elimination with like the size disadvantage they would have with Nicole. I guess the only thing they could have wished was that this was more puzzly, because that obviously would have greatly steered their avenue. But it's about as best case scenario as this season could have possibly have gone for them as a team.
The fact that last elimination is set up where they're going to get to go against their most evenly matched team left in the house, and everyone's just going to agree they can strip someone of a star is like pretty phenomenal. So kudos to them. And I think a lot of the interest in the season really is on the back of Frank and Veronica, and like Veronica's willingness and ability to play an older school strategy game, to be an agent of chaos in what is, typically a very organized show now with like longstanding friendship. So she definitely made it very exciting and gave us a lot of fun. And I'm the most up on her returning that I've ever been since we've been podcasting.
There's been, in our little challenge circle, buzz to get her on the Traders. That would be a lot of fun, which would be a great spot for her. Would love to see it.
Yeah, cosign. Maybe I'll watch the Traders if that happens.
There you go.
So now with Veronica and Katie out, is there like a path forward? Well, I was thinking, like, is there a path forward for like Frank and Nani to like align and getting Adam and Steve out? But really, the path forward is with Frank and Shane. Can they work together to achieve what should be their mutual goal of removing Adam and Steve's star without Veronica forcing them together?
Yeah, it's all determined about how this last week is going to go. Are Turbo and Nani like automatically in the elimination and they do a daily and like whoever finishes last goes against them to battle for the star? Is there like any sort of power decision to be made? Because it would be, I would imagine that like sort of has to be how it goes. Because otherwise, if you just have like Shane and Devon go up against Katie, Frank and Sam, does the loser just give their star to Turbo and Nani and they just get it? I don't think the show would want that. That feels very lack of dramatic. So it feels like the type of thing that I don't, or if like one team wins and like again Turbo and Nani are automatically in, and they determine which of the other star holder goes against them. It's uncertain how this last week is going to go.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's interesting because I think in the next week on we see Nani and Turbo competing in challenge, but maybe like if they win, then they determine their own opponent.
Right.
But they're in regardless.
Okay.
Yeah. Why do I feel like the last time we were in this position, it was just like a normal game?
So the last time they did like the star thing, I think they ended it with like a few teams not having stars. And the people that had the stars were just in the final. And they were like on an island hanging out with sandwiches. And then everyone else did a challenge to earn I think they added a star, right? There was like, that was the BS thing. There was like, just kidding, there's one more star. But they can't do that because they're not just going to give Turbo and Nani a star. So I feel like Turbo and Nani have to be in the elimination no matter what. And then we have to, it's unclear how it's going to be determined who they're going up against.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to say, is that like unfair? But it's like everybody else has a star. There's only one team. Fine.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to do with these 5 teams left, because obviously this was very much talked about to start the season. We haven't heard about it since, but because the final is, I guess, probably in 2 weeks, I wanted to do like a heat check on if the steal option is in play, who through this season now you think would steal from your partner?
Forgot. Sorry, it was like heat check. I don't have my fan on, so I am very hot. That is interesting. I feel like the only team that has possibly been set up as a team that might steal would be like Devon and Shane.
Interesting. And you think it would be Shane doing the stealing?
I don't even think they would steal, but I feel like the show has made a conscious effort to show how all of the other pairs have like become friends.
Yeah, because I was thinking about with Rivals 3 when Bananas and Sarah did it. Like they really were making a conscious point to show them rekindling it as a team, and it wasn't until the option was presented that it was like, oh, Bananas is going to steal it. So as much as like Adam and Steve have rekindled, I still put them as like the most likely, especially from Adam's side of it, to steal.
Really?
I do.
But Adam is so like, let's be fair. Like I can't even get angry at people in the game, even though they voted me in relentlessly. Like he should be angry at Nicole and Veronica for not like working hard enough to keep him safe for the first like 8 challenges he had to go in. Like he doesn't strike me as like a massive grudge holder. Now I know he's got a reputation for being a bit of an a-hole, but I feel like he would be worried about his like television image.
I don't know. I mean, would he say the stuff he said about Steve, like sit and spin, if he was worrying about his image? I feel like that's kind of too far gone. I don't know, but I feel like of these 5, I mean, I guess Turbo, but that would be crazy if he steals from Nani. Like I don't know. I think Steve. I think Adam, of the 5 teams left, I think is the most likely to steal from their partner.
Turbo, going back to Turbo for a moment, like it's definitely possible that
brutal.
What? It's possible that Turbo would say, like, I came here, like he like said in the beginning, he came here to like eliminate Nani and then their partners. Right. Like, could I see him being like, you hurt Turbo hurt you, you know, like I'm gonna still do this because I hold a grudge. Like, I have to put him above Adam in likeliness to steal. You're making a case for Adam. I would be shocked. It would be a great season because I'd be shocked. The other sort of unknown is like really like the Hunter Ashley situation where like a lot of their shit happened during the final. Like, could Frank, and I don't think it's Frank, could any of these pairings unleash in a way of like Devon and and Shane in the beginning of round 4 of this
Right.
daily challenge this week. Like, could Shane like bite Devon's head off the whole final and they win and Devon's like, I'm stealing the money, sorry, like you don't pay my mortgage? Like, yeah, I could see that, and I'd be like, yes, retweet.
Right. I think if I had to say like a pure like thumb on the scale guess, I think no one steals. I think whoever wins will agree to share it. But if I had to make the pick, I would say Adam. But I think everyone, whoever wins, if they're given the option, I would assume they are, because again, just how much it was brought up to start the season.
Yeah.
So if they are, I would say this one ends with a share.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that in the beginning. I think most people felt like the audience felt like the share is more satisfying this season. I think we said that of like this season. It just doesn't. I don't see a split coming or a steal coming. And I don't think I'd really like want it or support it, except for like that one edge case where someone just gets chewed out the whole final and still manages.
I mean,
to
like,
win.
yeah, no one's really been like a jerk through the season. Everyone, like, there's been a few moments, but it's really just been to other people. It's not really been inter-team stuff. So yeah, it doesn't. They're certainly not building towards anything happening. And I would agree. Like everyone's partnership right now looks to be pretty good in terms of like their friendship. I guess Shane and Devon maybe are sort of like the least most rocky, but based off how this played out, maybe that's all a facade anyway. So all the other teams seem to be in pretty good standing.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it shakes out.
That is episode 9. You can subscribe.
Do you want to talk about your Twitter drama? We gotta cover the Twitter news.
Sure. I mean, it's like not much to cover. But
we're covering it.
Big D. So Derek, Big Brother 23 of Cookout fame, second place finisher, has been very adamant about getting on another reality show. And I'm an empath. I feel bad for people. I want them to succeed, but it just doesn't seem like it's happening for Big D. But he puts out tweet after tweet.
Wait, sorry, you're an empath? That's the headline of this?
Okay. I was waiting to see if you would pick up on that.
No, I'm listening. I have ears.
I feel bad. He wants on another show so bad, but it just turns out most people don't like him. It's kind of boring. There's not much of a market there for him. And he put out another tweet. He put out a reel of himself to get on the traders. And I was like, this is it. I've had enough. Maybe because I look at his tweets, they pop up on my For You page, so the Twitter sees it, the algorithm sees it, so I get fed all of his stuff.
No, it's your empath way. It's bringing you too much personal harm. You're absorbing all of it too much. So you had to say something.
It's giving me angst, so I just had to put it out into the universe. Like, someone put him on a show. Just put him on a show.
Yeah, that was your intent. Genuine.
I want to get him on a show. It could be one of Jordan Kalish's fantasy camp bake shows. Get it on there, just to give him something to do. And he didn't like it too much. He responded back a few hours later.
Read the tweet. He responded back. Read the tweet.
Here's the full 2-sentence combo. I said, can someone put Big D on another reality show, even if it's a fake one like Creed's Thoughts? It's getting bad out here. He responded, oop, not you comparing me to Creed's Thoughts. Baby, at least when I talk, people tune in. You over here giving Dollar Tree commentary with expired tea. Don't worry, though. I'll be on another show soon. Just make sure your Wi-Fi is strong enough to stream it.
Apparently, Big D was an early listener of the Challenger wrap-ups.
Or he just thinks the only show he's going to be on is some, deep web thing that you need, super strong Wi-Fi to be able to access. So, I don't know. Maybe it was actually a self-dig at himself.
Yeah, I'm like, me and all the listeners now, 54 minutes into this podcast, All Stars 5, catching strays, not dollar store commentary. I don't even know what that means. It was free. It's still free to all of the listeners, so it's not even dollar store.
And it's also with inflation, dollar store is turning into a $10 store. So I'm giving some high price commentary.
And then expired tea, this is a show you want to be on. It's expired. Mm-hmm. I don't understand.
Didn't make much sense. I've had much better rebuttals to some of my stuff before. This wasn't one
yawn that bitch.
That's number one.
That's a classic.
Classic. You know what's funny? amazingly, like that season of Are You the One is like people are starting to make highlights of it on TikTok, and I've gotten fed a couple of stuff about that, including which I forgot about throughout that season, like the last moment with Leighton, who I can't believe never showed up on the challenge. Oh my god, he would have been great for it. But when he had to make the pick between Christina and whoever it was, and it was like, I could guarantee us all winning the money, or I could just go with the Christina, the extra girl.
Wasn't it Jess?
No, it wasn't Jess. I think it was
Okay.
Well, Jess was on that season, yes, but that was not who he was picking. He was picking the girl who was the one who had that fake company that I couldn't. That I was it was like
Juice Squeeze.
Yeah,
Squeeze?
but what was I?
Oh, it was Taylor. Her name is Taylor.
Who's her name? Taylor. So so he was I think picking between her and Christina. And he did like a spin move and pointed to her, gave her like the finger guns. It's like, I'm picking you. It was unbelievable reactions. I forgot how great that scene was. Unbelievable.
Okay, well, speaking of catching strays, we just spoiled the best season of Are You. Well, not the best, but yeah, that was memorable. Maybe we'll go back and watch Are You the One. We'll see.
I did that a couple years ago. It was on Netflix. And I was like, oh, it holds up. It's a great concept of a show.
But it doesn't have the SEO you'd want it to have, because when I Googled Leighton 11th girl, obviously all Leighton Meester came up. Like, but yeah, wow, Grease. Didn't think there'd be a Grease reference in 2025. I wonder what Grease is up to.
Curtis and the blonde girl, they weren't perfect matches, but I think they're still together.
Yeah, Jenny Nat Miller, who's I think sister came at us.
Did she?
Yeah, I believe her sister. I feel like I DM'd with Jenny once, like an apology. Sorry, my sister like gets hot when people are talking about us. And I was like, more sympathetic I could not be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think they're still dating. Maybe even married now.
I think they got married. We talked about this at some point. Anyway. Yeah, go back 10 years if you want to understand what Yawn That Bitch was about.
Right. Go to the archives. That's how No Press started, right? Isn't that where it came from? Subscribe. RobertsWebsite.com/challenge feed. Follow me on Twitter, Cohen Brian _. Follow you. Oh, and
don't follow
drop
me
us on TikTok.
Don't follow me anywhere. Leave us a 5-star review. Like, boys were mean to me in the reviews. Like, so let's I keep checking every week. I keep checking every week to make sure like more people aren't like I'm not reaching a critical mass of people being upset. But if you are upset, don't leave a review. I'm not looking at them at all.
But leave 5-star, leave positive. Give us some positivity. Spread some positivity.
Yeah, and you could find me outside of a pizza place near you.
Exactly. We'll be back next week for episode 10. Until then, have a good one.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.